5,135-pound, very nicely kept Rockwood 2507S solo or couples camper here. The idea behind this one is it's only about 26 foot tip to tail, but because it has a Murphy bed, during the daytime, you get the seating and the space of a super slide without having to haul a longer 30 to 32 foot super slide coach. Good awning space, very clean in terms of physical cleanliness and condition, and you're going to start seeing a lot of this. It was used very gently. Things like the original outside grill don't really look like they were used. The sink, the outside kitchen as a whole, not really showing a whole lot of real strenuous use. And really until the most recent generation of Rockwoods, this lighter maple color interior wood tone that we're looking at here was my personal favorite for a number of years, just because it made this little RV not look and feel so small. Although that Murphy bed up front, again, kind of like the way that it gives us super slide space and seating without needing the length and space of a super slide also helps. There's really not a bad seat in the house in this one either, due to the fact that that TV can pivot around. So right now I'm sitting at the dinette. Like if you were enjoying a bite to eat, this is kind of what you would see right here. If you wanted to get the table out of the way, which you'll see, you could use it in like lounge mode. You can pivot the table over, or the TV over rather, to sit right in front of that sofa if need be. And this is what's kind of cool, is the way that they really kind of made this like a double purpose thing. So when it is time to go down at night, or like if you don't care about the whole Murphy bed thing, nothing says you have to use it as a Murphy bed. You can just, put the bed away for transit, then leave it in bed mode when you get to your destination. But Rockwood always does the extra little touches. Despite the fact that they have a slightly vaulted ceiling, which makes mounting things like that curtain track right there a little trickier, they always find ways to go and do a little bit more, well, I swear, than just about anybody else out there. And the way that they tackled storage in this, I think, is testament to that. Taking the place of normal underbed storage is actually the under sofa storage, because the sofa just basically is the bed. Now, when it's in daytime mode, these little drawers are kind of handy. The side stands are handy. But in nighttime mode, you've got normal side stands. There's some outlets nearby for potential CPAP users. And just to give you an idea of how much space, I shoved the pillow on the right-hand side there vertically. I shoved that pillow along the bottom so that you could see that they fit in quite nicely. But what they did over here, I think, is kind of special. They actually extended the dinette slide a little bit so that you're not getting just storage under the dinette, but above the dinette, beside the dinette, behind the dinette. We'll actually get to see that from outside. And if you do want to get into it from the inside, you can always just move the table out of the way and lift up the cushions. You just don't have to on this one. But the fact that that table's free floating makes it very, very handy for multiple uses. You can use it like a picnic table. You can also slide it in front of the sofa for a little bit of dinofa action. Now over here, as we get close, alakazam, the lights kick themselves right on. Motion mode, you see my fingers activating it there. So the pantry light turns on when you need it. And this pantry, I think, is really important on this floor plan, because you glance at it and you say, well, you lost the kitchen storage above the television. You didn't. It actually just got moved. And if you notice, you've got that extra large countertop extension. Keep in mind how big that is. We'll see that out in just a moment. That's how big that pantry is. Now the RV, we'll see when we go outside, especially when we get on the roof. It looks like it was stored outside, but it does look like it was cleaned and maintained with regularity. The cleanliness of all of these kitchen facilities, I think, is really a good testament to that, and really stands to support that theory. We've got solid surface kitchen counters here, and once again, we have that big countertop extension leaf where, if I'm not straight on with the thing, you see how far out it sticks. It gives us a lot of prep space that we would otherwise not have. Now remember, I said there's nothing that says that table has to sit in front of the dinette. You can turn this thing into a handy dandy dinofa. You can take it out for picnic time. You can do, again, a little bit of whatever really works best for you in a specific circumstance. Now this is a tiny little pocket, and I like that Rockwood didn't just waste it. Admittedly, though, it's an interesting size, and I think I would maybe use it for something small, like little pet dishes. What do you guys think about that? Any pet campers out there? Does that make sense? It seems like a reasonable space for smaller dog bowls or cat bowls, at least. The plywood full extension drawers here, you see how that top one, Rockwood, includes a handy little, like, silverware utensil organizer. And I wanted to make sure I got you over here around this corner so that you could see you can get to every single square inch of space below the countertop there. There's really no space wasted in this thing. And once again, you have easy viewing no matter where you're at. So if you're sitting here on the sofa, I'm going to start sliding as though like I was on the right or left side. Now, obviously, I'm standing up a little bit as I move. But you can see it's easy to view, and the TV can pivot a little more squarely toward the TV toward the sofa, I'm sorry, if needed. And then just a quick little glance over here, because I realized the only time you really got to see the dinette is when I had it all disassembled and blown up like some crazy bomb went off. On the way back to the bathroom, point out the vaulted ceiling. I think I mentioned that earlier with the bedroom curtain. We do have centralized air. You see the ceiling vents going all the way through, and of course, we've got the Flappy Doodle 37 series up here. It's so nice you have to flap it twice. And it's just little details like that Rockwood puts in so the pantry door doesn't go smashing into the bathroom door. It's 100 little things always with Rockwood, and they all add up. It's like notes in a symphony. Independently, they sound interesting, sometimes maybe dissonant. And then when you put them all together, you realize just kind of like the beautiful creation that exists afterwards. Now, that's obviously a very flowery metaphor, but I think you get the idea. It's 100 little drops in the bucket that fill this one up. Storage in a bathroom is another thing Rockwood has always done so good at, like that dedicated linen space here. Now, in this shower, there is a sewer hose. Thankfully, it does not look to have been used. It looks like just an extra thing that somebody just said, okay, we're done with the camper, toss it in there, honey. I don't really, I would probably still replace it myself and get something that I had a little more familiarity with, but that's up to you folks. The shower being mounted, the skylight in this is mounted on that crazy angle you might have noticed, which means that you always have some pretty good headroom in here, and that is, I mean, that's a fluffy, friendly toilet situation. Let me give you more of a bird's eye view here so you get an idea of the sense of space on either side of that thing. Very nice if you're a little bit thicker in the hips, you know. Up top here, and the more I'm looking at this RV, the more I'm really starting to wonder, was this ever flipping used? I mean, the blades on that fan are shiny and new. It's possible somebody used the camper and didn't use that fan a lot, but folks, that is not likely. I'm really starting to question whether this RV was ever used a heck of a lot. I know that we sold it to the folks initially. There's some Halet stickers on it. And above the camp kitchen here, just a giant, wide open, blank space of storage. I mean, what would you do with this thing? I would maybe try to figure out some kind of either hanging solutions or like shelf solutions in this thing, because boy, howdy. That is big, that is deep right there. Now, flipping around, you see how the slide out magically closed itself with the help of Hollywood movie magic. Because this one is surprisingly travel accessible. Frankly, the only thing you cannot really utilize in transit is just the front master bed. Because they extended the slide to include that extra storage and really tried to keep the RV at a minimal length and weight, it does come right up to the sofa, so the bed is not functional in transit, which is why if you're wanting to use this as a non-Murphy bed model, all you have to do when you go camping is put the bed away. And by the way, a little pro tip for you from your Uncle Josh. They've since moved this switch in recent years, but a couple of years ago, the switch for the lights, rather, above the bed are located under the driver's side little wardrobe closet there. Now, as we saw earlier, the outside kitchen on this thing is a lot like my brain cells. It has not seen a lot of use. Get you back up close here. This is a swing-out cooktop, which is kind of cool because it automatically just stows away when you get there. Not to mention the fact that while it is open, you do have kind of a nice little like built-in shelf space to allow for all that. You can see that's a real sink, and you can clearly see it is because you can see the drain work on that. More of that handy cabinetry that we saw inside, but the shelf out here. Not everything that we use is cereal box tall. Sometimes those shelves, especially in an outside kitchen, are very useful. And again, you can see that this is not a penicillin mold factory here, in case you need to get yourself a shot of something or other. As a backup
One thing I really want to point out on here is the way that the outside kitchen is completely encompassed under a very generously sized awning. Frankly, I think they made the awning as big as they possibly could have on a trailer like this. Has lighting, of course, and between the camp kitchen and the outside cooker here, you have an outside TV mount, should you choose to fire one of those onto the side of your trailer. The inside TV is actually designed to be able to float outside. Now, if you notice, there's an extra long mount bar here. If you want to slide that grill this way, you can. And that is actually one of the things I like about how Rockwood used to do the little outside grill cooker hooker there. You see that little black port behind the cooker? Well, that is where the propane hookup is located. So you can move that grill on the left or right side. It doesn't have to be right next to the TV should you choose to put one on. Now, Rockwood was one of the very first with a one-piece, easy lift and lower camp kitchen. I'm sorry, Murphy bed, not camp kitchen. That's stuck in my head right now, apparently. I'm an idiot. To basically put outside storage under the sofa inside, but it is accessible from the inside as well. Simple side mount solar prep plug. This was made before a lot of manufacturers had really started adopting a lot of roof solar solutions. Those sort of things would still be available in the world of aftermarket upgrades. You just didn't see a lot of it done from the factory level. Now, the skin is still gleaming. The decals are not peeled and fading and flaking. About the only modification I see to this RV is that, interestingly, I mean, really not all too long ago, 2017 is not that long ago, they were still using manual tongue jacks on Rockwood mini lights, whereas today you see power tongue jacks on them standard. They were still, though, using the standard 30-pound propane tanks, and you can see where the previous owners upgraded to a power tongue jack. Now, since they don't have things like an awning arm or whatever to fight for space over here, they were able to make this a more traditional one-door access point to the under sofa space there. And then on the face of the slide, they open up some additional storage. And that tall center one is actually one I think is very interesting. And I always love asking people and getting some opinions. How would you use this? So if I go into lower GI endoscope mode right here, at a glance, you just see the size of the door. But what you don't realize is that this thing goes all the way up to the roof of the slide. And the thoughts that I have on that are like, if you have your fishing poles that you can break down sectionally, or golf clubs, or bag chairs, anything else you can think to throw in there, leave me a comment. I'm always, kind of curious about feedback on stuff like that. And then just the extra little things Rockwood does, well, used to do and still does, I suppose, like the extra storage, easier access to the storage behind the dinette there, so you don't have to tear the entire thing apart. And notice, the dinette is an all-aluminum cage. This whole thing is an all-aluminum cage, actually. That's one of the things Rockwood has pretty much always done, has always had an aluminum skeleton, but in high stress points, they will actually stuff the aluminum cage work, like say where they're going to lag the floor and the walls together. They'll go ahead and stuff it with a very lightweight wood just to make sure it doesn't crimp and crush, and it really gives screws something nice to bite into. She's rear camera ready. We're going to get up on that roof in just a second, but a real quick note on the back here, you have both an outside utility shower with hot and cold, as well as a black tank flush. And I've only got two little notes up here. The RV appears to have been cleaned regularly from the ground level. The roof could use a good cleaning, and it is at a point, you can see some of the lines in the sealants. It's at a point where it definitely would not hurt to do some touch-up beads after you've given it a good cleaning. You don't want to start putting sealant down on top of previously existing dirty sealant because it's just not going to grab that well, but you'll think it does, and then you're going to have yourself a leak. So like around that skylight where you can see the skylight's outline, you want to clean that, let it dry, and then put a fresh kind of single bead of some self-leveling stuff like Dicor on there. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. If you appreciate the way that we go through things, hit the like button on the video, subscribe and follow along to our family-owned and operated facility and channel here. And when you're ready, we're ready. If you need parts, if you need financing, if you need hitching to get this thing hooked up to your vehicle or brake control, we do all that stuff. Give us a call and let us know what you need, and we'll take care of the rest. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and have an A1 day, everyone.